troubleshoot that frustrating "cannot use import statement outside a module" error you get with Jest. This error usually pops up when you're trying to use ES modules, those import and export statements, in a way that JavaScript doesn't expect. Jest, a popular JavaScript testing framework, generally handles this well, but sometimes the setup isn't quite right. Here's a breakdown of common causes and how to fix them. 1. The file type. The most frequent culprit is your file extension. Jest by default assumes files ending in right single quote .js, right single quote are common JS modules, using required dostoy, not ES modules, import. If you're using import, ensure your test file uses the right single quote .mjs right single quote module JavaScript extension. For example, rename right single quote mytest.js right single quote to right single quote mytest.mjs. This explicitly tells Node.js and thus Jest to use the ES module system. 2. Jest configuration. Jest needs to be explicitly configured to handle ES modules if you're using right single quote .mjs right single quote files, or consistently using import within your right single quote .js right single quote files. Open your right single quote jest.config.js right single quote or right single quote jest.config.ts right single quote if you use TypeScript, and add or modify the module file extensions option to include right single quote .mjs. For example, module file extensions JS, MJS, JSX, TS, TSX. You might also need to add module name mapper to correctly map modules if you are using aliases. If you're using a newer version of Jest, 27+, you should consider using transform instead of module file extensions by specifying a transform for right single quote .mjs right single quote files like this. Transform mjs $ @babel/jest. In this case, ensure you have @babel/jest installed. npm install save dev @babel/jest. If this setup doesn't work, you'll probably need Babel Loader to allow for the transpilation of modern JavaScript to something that Node understands. 3. Package.json. Double-check your right single quote package.json. Ensure you don't have conflicting module system declarations in your type field. It should be module for ES modules or omitted if using common JS. 4. Incorrect import paths. Sometimes the error is not related to module systems, but simply an incorrect path to the file you are trying to import. Carefully check your import paths in your test file to make sure the path to your module is correct relative to your test file. 5. Node version. While less common, an older Node.js version might have limited ES module support. Updating to a recent long-term support LTS version of Node.js can solve compatibility issues. 6. Babel configuration. If you are using Babel, then you would need to make sure Babel is configured correctly to handle both import and export keywords and transform them appropriately. Make sure you've properly installed and configured Babel packages @babel/core @babel/presetenv in order to handle ES6 imports and exports. Remember to restart your development server after making any configuration changes to ensure the changes are picked up. If you've followed these steps and you're still facing this error, provide the relevant snippets of your code, test file, jest config, and right single quote package.json to get more specific help.